The most amount of money I've ever seen in my life. So today I thought I'd do a video about how much I actually saved to go traveling, because it's something that everyone kind... Do you want to go outside, Marty? Jesus, my dog's licking. Are you gonna be fine? So today I thought I would sit back and talk about money, which is one of the key things about travel, because most people's excuse if they can't travel is because it's too expensive. So I thought I would shed some light onto how much money I saved to go traveling and how much I actually spent, because it's pretty hard to know how much you're actually going to need for a trip, and even with a lot of research, everybody kind of travels differently. So if you're new here, I'm Jen, and basically my whole life I wanted to travel, and when I finished uni I decided to start saving, and this was back in 2015. So basically I got a full-time job at a retail store in Brisbane, which wasn't ideal because I really wanted to get a job back home, which is like an hour away from Brisbane, where I could live with my parents and save a bit on accommodation. Now I do want to say that I was pretty crazy at saving, probably like way too extreme, so I'm gonna point that out now before you comment that I am a crazy lady, because I already know I was saving like a freaking champ. So I started this job in the middle of February, which gave me about 11 or 12 months of saving before I was gonna leave, and at the time I think I planned that I was gonna do a 6-month trip, so I was just planning on saving as much as I could. So basically I was getting paid around $1,400 a fortnight, which might sound like a lot for some people in other countries, because the Australian minimum wage is actually really high, which is probably why you see a lot of Australians traveling around. And I'm not pointing that in people's faces, I just want to say that's how I probably saved quite a bit of money in a short amount of time. But there's still hope to do it if you're in another country, if you do the same sort of methods. But anyway, back on track. I was getting paid $1,400 a fortnight. So my goal was to make sure that I put 1,000 of that into my savings every fortnight. I had to minimize every living cost I possibly could to make that happen. I obviously had to pay rent, which I think was about $160 a week. So that was like $320 of that $400 that I had left over. So I really only had $80 to spend for 2 weeks for anything else like food or transport or anything. So basically I probably should have just been taking sandwiches to work, but I'm pretty lazy. So I would go to the supermarket every day and I would have like a maximum of $5 to spend, and I would just buy like a bread roll, a banana, and if I was feeling special, I would get maybe like a $1 chocolate bar, a yogurt, or some ham to put in my bread roll, pre-vegan. So yeah, I wasn't spending too much on lunches, and then for breakfast and dinners, I was just having like toast for breakfast, and for dinners, I was just bulk creating food. So for a whole week I would just have pasta or omelets, or you know, I didn't have too much variety in my life, but I could just see, like, vision my future in another country, and that future Jen would be super happy that I saved all this money. I think by the end I was having Nutri-Grain for dinner because there was a sale on Nutri-Grain, and then I got addicted to it. So I wasn't exactly living the healthiest, most nutritious lifestyle, but I was saving a lot of money, not spending like anything on dinner. Sometimes I literally just had rice. Yeah, but I was super happy to do it myself. I was just on a mission to save money. So yes, I tended to pretty much hit $1,000 every fortnight. Sometimes I couldn't quite hit the 1,000 because I was maybe buying stuff for traveling. Like if it was the week that I was buying my backpack, obviously I could only just squeeze in like 900 into my account. But I was okay with doing small purchases for the trip during. I steadily kind of saw my bank account rise, and to be honest, for the first like 10 grand, it felt like it was going so freaking slow. It was just not going anywhere, even though obviously it was getting like a grand every 2 weeks, but it felt like a long haul. I knew I had so much work ahead of me, and yeah. But then all of a sudden, once it hit the 10,000, it seemed to just like pile up. Everything was going quickly, and soon enough I was going on my trip, so it seemed all worth it. So the next big cost that I kind of eliminated was transport, and it was kind of bullshit because transport to my work was $4 each way, and it was only a 5-minute trip on the train with 2 stops. Like, I really don't understand why it's $4 each way if I'm literally getting on the train and getting off the train. So I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I did just run on without paying. Don't catch me, TransLink. But it didn't last very long. I probably only did it for a few weeks going on the train, and then I needed to work out how I could just eliminate that cost legally. So I began riding my bike to work, which kind of helped with my fitness, but it was free and it only took 20 minutes, which left me with one more cost to eliminate, which was my phone bill. So I was paying about $20 a month prepay, and I had the shittiest iPhone 4, and I think a few months before my trip I kind of forgot to pay for one of the months, and I just thought I would just leave it and wouldn't pay for it and just like see how long I could go without paying for it, and I just didn't pay for it for 3 months. To be honest, it's not that hard to not have a SIM card. You can find Wi-Fi everywhere, so if you're spending a lot of money on your phone bill and you want to save money, I would just literally just cut that out. So yeah, that's how I managed to save a lot of money during a year, and in the end I ended up saving over $25,000, which is honestly the most amount of money I've ever seen in my life. Like right now, I can't even believe that I had that much money. I currently have none, so the fact that past Jen had so much money is actually crazy. So I know you're probably calculating that 25,000 would probably take around 50 weeks or so to get if I was saving $1,000 a week, and it's not really adding up in your mind, but there was a few other ways that I got a bit more money just to like get that extra. So first of all, I also asked for money for birthday and Christmas from family members, which got me enough money to buy my tickets. So my tickets were paid for, and I still had $25,000 to take with me. And then the thing that really pushed me over the edge to get me the extra was the fact that I got sent to Perth for work for 3 weeks, and accommodation was paid for, as well as we got free breakfast in the morning, so I used to just like stock up with food then. And we also got, I think it was $70 or $80 a day towards food costs. And obviously, as I said before, I only spent like $3 on lunches. So I mean, you do the math, I banked that shit. So that kind of pushed me to get a bit more money because I literally had no expenses for 3 weeks. But I do want to acknowledge that I am not perfect. I am not the saving god. I did also spend some money during that time. I stupidly got 4 piercings, which cost me like $200, and I mean, 3 of them rejected, so it wasn't even worth it. So yeah, I did splurge on that, and throughout the year I also bought a bit of clothing because I did work at a clothing store and it was tempting. So I wasn't exactly perfect, but I was pretty damn extreme. I basically had no social life. Not that it mattered because I was working all the time, and I'm a bit of an introvert, so I kind of really liked having time at home because obviously I was working all the time. So yeah, I didn't go out too much, which I think are really the big costs when you're trying to save. So yeah, that's how I saved $25,000, basically cutting out all possible costs that I could. If you have the opportunity to live at home and also save, that's gonna save you a lot more money and you'll be on track pretty quick. So at this point, I was just about to go on my trip. I was still kind of stressed if I had enough. I really didn't have any idea if I had enough. So the original plan was to kind of go on a 6-month trip from January to after Glastonbury in June. It then quickly got extended to August because me and Lauren wanted tattoos. And then I soon decided that I actually wanted to go from that trip to live in Canada. So how much did I actually spend on the 8-month trip? The plan was that I would budget around $70 a day, which would mean that I was spending around $2,000 a month. So in theory, if I was going for 8 months, that was going to be like 16 grand. I found out pretty quickly that we did not spend $70 a day. Most of the time it was around 10 or 20 because we weren't spending too much on accommodation. We were couch surfing all the time. We kind of were living as though we were still at home, just trying to minimize all costs, which looking back, I think I would have maybe spent slightly more. We were just full on cheapskates, but we had really awesome experiences. So I wouldn't take back what we did. It really depended if we were traveling one day because travel did cost a lot of money, but if I evened it out, it definitely wasn't costing $70 a day. I calculated that each month I was spending around $1,500. So I was quite a bit lower than what I had budgeted, which is great. You want to be lower than your budget. Pro tip, when you're making a budget for travel, make it way higher than you actually need it to be because you just never know if you're going to do something cool that might cost a bit more money. So I was spending $1,500 a month on average. We were still doing some cool things. We still went to Glastonbury. Sometimes we got some expensive tattoos. So keep in mind that was a pretty low cost considering we went to Japan, Canada, America, and all throughout Europe. Now Europe is actually fantastic for cheap travel because you can get around in buses really cheap, but obviously going through all those countries in the beginning with flights and stuff would have cost quite a bit. And with that $1,500 a month, I didn't include the flights, which cost around $2,500 in the beginning. So just add that on top. So by the time I got to Canada, I calculated I had 14 grand left, which was pretty good for an 8-month trip. And we'd been to around 20 something countries. So yeah, 14,000 well spent, which meant I had around 10 grand left for Canada, which quickly got sucked into a hole because Canada is expensive, but that's a whole nother video. So that's how I saved and that's how much I spent. And now we're in 2018 somehow, and I left to travel in 2016, which really explains why I'm broke now, because I continued to travel around living in Canada and New Zealand and hanging in America up until June this year. So basically I am possibly in the same position as you if you're watching this video, starting to save, because I have no money left, and maybe this video is inspiration for me to save again. I think now that I'm saving again, I'm definitely not doing it as extreme as I did before by like not eating and not doing anything. So hopefully this video was helpful with your travel saving goals. I would just say, yeah, try and minimize transport costs, rental costs, food costs, phone costs. They're the 4 main things that you want to minimize. Try not to go out too much, and yeah. So if you like this video, please subscribe because I'm getting really close to 100 subscribers and I'm gonna have a big celebration when that happens because Yeah, that's just super exciting, like a freaking milestone. Anyways, I hope I have covered everything in this video. Keep wandering and see you next time.